Hey everybody, today we're going to be doing a CSGO tier list about all the guns in CSGO. And unlike the car tier list I made a few days ago, I'm more qualified to make this tier list because I have played CSGO for about 240 hours. I'm not the greatest player ever, but I know the guns somewhat well, most of them at least, because some of the guns I just refuse to use. But yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So the P2000 I'm going to put in B tier because this gun is very, very good for a starter pistol. It's free, unless you decide to drop it for some reason. And the meta is in pistol rounds that you get a Kevlar vest, and that's it. You just use the default pistol, default Glock, the default P2000. But the thing that makes it very good is that unlike the Glock, this gun actually has a very good two-shot headshot range, so it does way more damage than the Glock. Yes, it doesn't have the burst feature, but the burst feature sucks in the Glock anyways. So I'm going to put this in B tier, and of course, this gun has good running accuracy. I think there are two pistols, the 5.7 and the Deagle, that don't have good running accuracy, but this is not one of them. So this is a good pistol. If you're ecoing, I would rather have you get a P250 or something than this because that's just better. But if you want to run with this, if you're really broke, you need the money, then just get this pistol and some armor and head out. The Glock, on the other hand, you really need to get a different gun if it's not a pistol round, because this can one-tap head in a pistol round, of course, just like the P2000, for a very long range, as both of these can. But if they have a helmet, which is the problem, if they have a helmet, this gun will take 3 shots to kill to the head. 3 headshots, which is ridiculous, because 3 headshots is just so many headshots, because you just expect 2 headshots, right? 2, some of the guns, 1 headshot. This takes 3 headshots, and that's bad. So when they have helmets, this is going to be a horrible gun to use because you're going to have to shoot them over and over again in the head, unlike this where you can 2-tap them. Again, 1 bullet makes a huge difference, and the burst feature sucks on it anyway. So even if you're super broke outside of the pistol round, unless you know they don't have helmets, just get a P250, which is going to be the next gun on the list. The P250, I'm putting in A tier actually because this has the best range modifier of all the pistols, a 0.9 range modifier. I think these two have a 0.81 range modifier, and what a range modifier does is it multiplies the damage of the pistol by the range modifier every 500 units. So this pistol drops like 10% every 500 units, which is very good. This gun actually 1-taps head and 1-taps body for very long ranges. This gun does better at long ranges than the 5.7 and the Tech 9, and it's cheaper than both of them. So unless you're at like really close ranges, this gun will just be very, very good for its cost. And it has less ammo too, but like, you know, just reload the gun. It's a pistol. It should be fast. The 5.7 I'm going to put in the B tier because it costs way more than the P250, but I would still rather have the P250 because it has kind of bad running accuracy actually. For some reason this gun's running accuracy is not the greatest, even though it's a pistol, but it's still very good for a pistol. Costs about like what, 500 bucks I think. 20 rounds, 1-taps head at close ranges, which is very cool. And I'm talking about armored opponents. Helmeted opponents get 1-tap to the head at close range with the 5.7. Longer ranges, I'd get the P250 instead, but the 5.7 is still very good at longer ranges. Although at extremely long ranges, the P250 actually outshines it because I think this gun has a range modifier of about the same as these two, so it drops off much faster than the P250. The Tech 9 is slightly better than the 5.7 because I think it has better running accuracy. But it's basically the exact same thing as the 5.7 but on the T side, so not much is really needed to be said. But with slightly better running accuracy, so I'm just going to put it above the 5.7 because of that. I think they have the same cost, but either way, they're kind of the same gun. So, yeah. I'm going to move the P2000 to the bottom of B tier, by the way, because, yeah, it's a good pistol, and you're supposed to only have this in pistol rounds. You're not supposed to get the other two in pistol rounds, but I would rather spend 500 bucks in a later round to get the 5.7 or the Tech 9 than just not spend the 500 bucks for a P2000. But just having a free P2000 is fine too, I guess. Now the USP-S is literally the same thing as the P2000, but with a silencer on, with one less bullet. So, yeah, not much needs to be said about there. The range modifier is the same too. It just has one less bullet and a silencer on. So, would you rather have the silencer or an extra bullet? So, yeah, both getting B tier. Now the CZ75, hot take, F tier. I do not like this gun. It runs out of ammo way too fast. Only has 12 rounds in one mag and 12 in the other. Seriously, only 2 mags? You gotta be kidding me. It only has 2 mags, so 24 bullets in total, which is ridiculous. Because that's not even like a full magazine of a Famas. You pay too much money for this kind of whack performance. It has bad accuracy. It's an automatic gun, but it just does not make up for its lame recoil pattern, bad accuracy, and alright damage. This is not a gun I would like to use. I'm putting it in F tier. Some people might want to move it up. I would not move it up, but whatever. This is my opinion, so you have to deal with this in F tier. Dual Berettas. I love using the dual Berettas. And the footage of me shooting the dual Berettas inside the workshop map is exactly how I play it in the game. I love to spam this thing over and over again. It's pretty cheap for a 30 round gun. If the UMP was a rifle from Wish, this would be a rifle from the dollar store. But it's still just so fun to use. I keep forgetting it has recoil sometimes, but you just need to pull it down and it kind of just sprays your opponent. It's really fun to see. Yeah, I know, it's better off to just get good shots and hit them in the head, but I just love spamming these things. It's so fun. Now it's time for the Deagle, which I'll put in A tier, because unlike the other pistols, this gun can actually hold its own against like a full buy round. Like, if they have AK's armor, head armor, this gun can still do okay. The other pistols, they're just going to have a very hard time. I'm not saying the Deagle will not have a hard time, because you still have to be really good to hit your shots. But if you hit the headshots, then you'll be fine with this gun, because this gun can one-tap the head even against armored opponents, even on long ranges. And this gun does decent damage to the body too, so even if you miss the head, you'll have some damage chipped off their health. And 3 to 4 shots should take them out. Usually it's 3, sometimes it's 4 in longer ranges. But yeah, this gun goes in A tier because of its ability to just hold off against stronger guns. Unlike the other pistols, which will just kind of get stampeded over. But it's very expensive for a pistol, so if you kind of just die with it, then you're going to have to eco again, which might suck. But anyways, let's go look for the R8 revolver. Oh wait, it's not even on the list. This tier list doesn't even have an R8 revolver because it's so bad it didn't need to be included. The R8 revolver will go in the F tier. It used to be a broken gun, now it's not. It's terrible. The fire rate is too slow, the damage is not enough for the fire rate. That pullback thing is just very annoying. And you just have the Deagle anyway, so you just don't have a reason to use the R8 revolver, just put it in F tier. Next up, we have the SMGs. So the MAC-10 I'm putting in A tier, because just like the Deagle, it can hold its own against like stronger weapons. Like if you're low on money, you have to eco, get the MAC-10, because it's very, very cheap for a good SMG. It's 1,050 for an SMG that has a fire rate of 800 RPM actually. And it has a semi-controllable recoil pattern. Just make sure not to fire it for too long. So it's just going to go into the A tier, because it's just so good for its cheap cost. Like 1,050 for a gun that's like able to hold off against other rifles. That's kind of crazy. Plus, I'm pretty sure you can run a gun with it too. I think it has decent moving accuracy. So yeah, A tier because it's 1,050. It has just that good of a performance. But its counterpart, the MP9, is overpowered as hell. It's 1250, which is ridiculous considering this gun has such good movement accuracy and even jumping accuracy. and has such a fast fire rate. Its fire rate is 857 RPM, which is like almost 15 bullets per second. It has great damage. Like, I've even killed people at longer ranges with this gun. Like, this gun is ridiculous for 1250. It has such a good performance for 1250. Fast fire rate, good damage, very good accuracy for jumping and running. And yeah, what else I need to say? It's too good for its cost. It needs to be nerfed, I think, by adding an extra $100 to its price. Maybe reducing the jumping accuracy, because that's ridiculous. And now for their weird cousin, the MP7, which I'll put D tier. Is going to be very, very low C tier. It's going to be very low C tier because it does okay damage, has an okay fire rate for an SMG, but it's kind of expensive. You're just way better off with a Mag 10 or an MP9, honestly. Yeah, C tier, maybe high D tier. I'm gonna put it in high D tier because get just better options. So D tier for the MP7 and F tier for its awful cousin, the MP5 SD. This gun does even less damage for the exact same price, which is ridiculous because against armored opponents, this gun does the exact same damage as the gun people say keeps doing no damage. The PP19 with the same fire rate, with less ammo, and all that it has to give is that it's suppressed. And the PP19 also will get an F tier when I get to it. There's no reason to have a worse MP7 just for extra suppression. So yeah, it goes into the F tier. It's kind of, I wish they would make both of these guns a little bit better because I like both of these guns, but yeah, unfortunately the dev team decided to make it like this. So the next gun up here is the MP5. I mean the UMP45. What am I saying? It's very, very cheap. It's $1,200 and can perform kind of like a rifle in close range. I'm not sure if I want to put it in the C tier though, because this gun has a horrendous range modifier of 0.75, which means it drops by 25% damage every 500 units. These two have a range modifier of 0.81, which is bad. Wait, no, there's 0.85. It's kind of bad. I think the PB19 is even worse because its range modifier is 0.81, but 0.75 is awful because that is just such a huge chunk of its damage taken out after like 500 units. That's crazy. It's very, very cheap though, and you can kind of use it like a rifle at close ranges. It has an okay performance at close range because it does good damage per hit and has a good fire rate. But then again, they're just better options. Now this doesn't have the disadvantage of the MP7 of being very expensive for an SMG. It's $300 cheaper. But yeah, if you're on T side, get the Mag 10. CT side, get the MP9, even though it's $50 more expensive. There's better options, but at least it's not as expensive as the MP7. So this goes into C tier. PP19, obviously an F tier gun. Does about this same fire rate as the MP5. Hold up, let's just move it above. I like the PP19 more than the CZ75. But yeah, as I was saying, same fire rate as the MP7 and the MP5, just less damage. Although sometimes it can be used as a pseudo LMG to just spray corners or something. Although people are probably not going to be scared because they're going to hear it's a PP19 and just rush out and kill you. It does have the neat ability of a 64 round mag, but it's just not that great. I think it needs a slight buff to damage or something. Probably to damage, yeah. Because that's the main thing keeping it back. It would be okay if it had better damage, but nah, it doesn't. And the P90, unfortunately, it also has to go really low. It's very, very strong in terms of like stats compared to other SMGs. It has the same fire rate as the MP9, slightly more damage than the MP9, so it has more DPS. Its recoil pattern is okay. It's kind of annoying to deal with though because after a few shots, it kind of just goes crazy. And it has a bigger mag and I think slightly slower mobility because it's a bigger gun. It has to be. However, it has bad running accuracy, which is stupid because the other bad thing about it is its price, which is almost twice that of the MP9, which is like what it should be compared to because like it has the same fire rate. But it's 2,350, which is at that point you're better off buying a rifle because 2,350 is a huge amount. Like, why am I paying 2,350 bucks for a gun that has worse moving accuracy than the MP9 when moving accuracy is crazy broken? And all for just 20 extra rounds? Hell nah. I hate to do this, but it's just way too expensive for an SMG. It's top of F tier, but it is an F tier. It's fun to use. I like to use it. Sorry for the MP. I'm sorry for the P90 fanboys out there, but it just costs too much for an SMG. If you look at it statistically, the MP9, just the MP9 is just so impressive. It single-handedly keeps all of these guns in lower tiers because just when compared to it, you just gotta get the MP9. I'm sorry, the P90 would be a D tier maybe if the MP9 wasn't so OP, but you're just so much better off with other things, you know. That's it for the SMGs. Now we move on to the shotguns, and I think all of the shotguns in this game except one are just really bad. So let's just throw them all in F tier. The reason being the Mag 7, I'm putting the Nova at the top actually. The reason being all of these shotguns just are, they're just not versatile. They are only good for like close range spamming. They're only good for like knocking out some people around corners, but even then it fires so slow that you're not going to knock out the second guy in time. The Nova I like to put a little bit higher because if you have the knowledge of the pellet pattern, yes, even the shotguns have spray patterns in this game, which is crazy. You can actually get some long range kills with the Nova, but otherwise they're just not versatile enough. Like, there's not enough situations where you would use a shotgun. Even though they just give a lot of money, I would rather just get an SMG or a pistol or something and get the money that way, you know what I mean? Now, the only shotgun I would put above these is the XM1014. This gun is a wild gun, okay? This gun fires so fast for a shotgun. This gun fires so fast that it can actually start holding its own in like more scenarios because you can just dump all of your bullets into like a mid-range opponent if you know the pellet placement, and you don't even have to like go too many for headshots. You can just spam the body over and over again because it just fires so fast. It's very expensive for a shotgun, but again, once you actually kill people with a shotgun, you get the money. And again, the extra money you get from the shotguns is not an excuse, does not save these guns, but it saves this gun because this gun actually has like more usability than the other shotguns. So now we're going to go into everybody's favorite category, the assault rifles. The one everybody basically always uses once they get out of the eco rounds, they have enough money. They're going to buy M4s, they're going to buy AKs, and some weird people will buy other things. But we're going to start off with the king of CSGO, the AK-47. I'm not going to put this in S tier because this isn't taking the game out of balance. In fact, it's kind of keeping it in balance because the Ts have a harder time than the CTs because the CTs, in most maps, it's CT sided because they have the easier job of just defending, while the Ts have to get aggressive and actually fight for the bomb sites. Now, in certain maps like Nuke, it's pretty T-sided because the CTs actually have to fight pretty hard for the bomb site, especially B site. But other sites, the CTs are just already there and they can position themselves, and playing defense I think is easier than offense, although sometimes people get too aggressive on the CTs and get killed that way. But the AK-47 makes up for that though. It's very, very strong of a gun, and if this gun was on CT, it would be S tier. But it's on the T side, so I don't think it needs to be nerfed. I think it should be like how it is. Very, very strong. It does so much damage per hit. If you're unable to hit the head for some reason, this gun will still do very well. It takes about 4 shots to kill, sometimes 5. But that's better than the M4A4s and the M4A1s, which sometimes go for 5 to 6. This gun one taps to the head. It's way cheaper than the M4A4 and a little bit cheaper than the M4A1S. It's good with mobility, has good accuracy. The recoil pattern is annoying, but if you understand the recoil pattern and practice with it, then this gun will be a beast with spraying. And its fire rate is alright, 600 RPM. That's at the low end for like most automatic guns in this game because the SMGs fire just so fast. but just on the low end for assault rifles too. But even then there's the SG, which is like even worse. So the fire rate's okay, the damage is great, the headshot potential is great, the range is great. It's just everything about this gun is great, except maybe the fire rate and the recoil. But recoil can be figured out, and the fire rate is just compensated for by the damage. This is my favorite gun in the game. I always play Tierlist just to use this thing. And it's just a really, really good gun. What else can I say? It's just the king of CSGO. AK-47 is king. And there's no other way to put it. Oh yeah, MP9 is S tier. And AK-47 is not. But if the AK-47 was on CT side, it would be absolutely S tier. So, yeah. Next up, we have the AK-47's rival, the M4A4. I will put it right next to the EAK because I love the M4A4 as well. It has a faster fire than the AK with a 666 RPM. Sometimes it's 6 shots, which is very annoying. It doesn't one-tap head against armored opponents, although it does against non-armored opponents, and when they are not armored, it's very nice. It will one-tap in the head if you throw a grenade at them and damage them slightly, because it's just very close to being a headshot, one shot, but it's not close enough. But that means you have to spend an extra $200, while the AK-47 will just do it without a grenade. So obviously the AK-47 is better than the M4A4, but that does not mean the M4A4 is a bad gun. It's very versatile, does good at most things. It's very accurate, good fire rate, good magazine size, good damage. It's just an all-rounder, the jack of all trades assault rifle, and I prefer of the M4A1S, especially right now after it got nerfed. And speaking of the M4A1S, we're going to put it in B tier, top of B tier, middle of B, top of B tier. Because yes, it has the advantage over the M4A4 that is $200 cheaper, which can make a big difference because that means you get more utility compared to the M4A4, and if you lose the round, you'll still have more money left over after you buy the M4A1S, or maybe you can't even buy the M4A4 because you lost too much money. But before, the M4A1S was just objectively way better than the M4A4, and it would be an S tier. But it's not anymore because its magazine size got reduced again to 20. That was a while back, but still. I still remember the day it happened. Not the exact day, but I remember, like, it happened. Like, I saw the news, oh my god, the M4A1S got nerfed to 20. And I was like, wow, okay, that's crazy. But this wasn't what killed the gun, because even then, there was still a debate. There was still a debate between the M4A1S and the M4A4, because this has an easier recoil pattern. This had more damage downrange because they had the same range multiplier. The only difference, this gun was suppressed, meaning they could not see the bullets. This gun just has a slower fire rate, but that matters less because this gun has more damage, period. So at longer ranges, this gun will take like one less shot to kill at the body, and that's a huge difference. But now its range multiplier got dropped from 97 to 94, which means that it drops off at twice the rate of the M4A4. Because the M4A4 has a range multiplier of 97, which means its damage drop off is 3% per 500 units. This is 6% per 500 units, so now it does not have that advantage anymore. So now the advantage it has is the cheap cost and the silencer. And sometimes the silencer can even get you because, like, maybe your gun will poke out from like a corner and you don't even know it. So you can still like equip the M4A1S. I mean, your team might even like you for it because that means you have more money for them. But I just prefer the M4A4, and I've always preferred the M4A4 because the faster fire rate is very noticeable actually. And the extra magazine is just very nice, just in case you have to deal with more than one enemy. So, yeah, the M4A4 really went from being S tier to B tier. Again, I didn't even care if it was S tier. I just loved the M4A4 because of the fire rate. But now we go on to the knockoff version of these guns. And the knockoff version of the M4A4 and the M4A1 is the Famas, and it goes in F tier, obviously. Top of F tier, because interestingly enough, I did not have the worst experience when I was using the Famas. Like, sometimes I play casual, I pick up the Famas, and I do okay with it. And sometimes when I just can't afford an M4A4, I'm fine with picking up a Famas. Although I used to be fine until I discovered how broken the MP9 was. This gun might be a D tier if the MP9 wasn't here. That's, again, the MP9 is so broken, it just keeps every other gun from being, like, viable because you just have the MP9. Just get the MP9. This gun is just way too strong. This gun needs to be nerfed, like, ASAP. But yeah, the Famas gets an F tier. People don't like this gun anyway, so like I don't think people will complain about me putting it in F tier. It has very bad damage for a rifle, like really, really bad, because at longer ranges, sometimes it will take 2 body shots and headshot to kill, which is ridiculous, because every other rifle and any like real map will take 1 shot to the head and 1 shot to the kill to the body, and better rifles than that will have 1 shot head. But this gun, 2 shots to the body, 1 shot to the head, which is ridiculous. That's just really bad for a rifle. It doesn't even have that good of a fire rate. It has bad accuracy. Its recoil pattern is weird as hell. Yes, like with other assault rifles, it can like do the job of other guns, like how the AK can fight snipers sometimes, although not as well as the AWP could, because the AWP is just the ultimate sniper. If the M4A4 was the jack of all trades, this would be the slack of all trades, because this just does not fill a single role like well at all. Close range, you're better off with SMGs. Way better off with SMGs. If at medium range, again, better off with rifles, better off with SMGs. And at long range, yeah, don't. This gun has a burst feature which increases the RPM to 800 and severely increases the first shot accuracy, making it actually really accurate. But this is really bad anyway, because the burst takes so long in between shots that it really doesn't even matter. I mean, yeah, maybe you can get like a really quick kill with it because of this fast RPM. But if more than one opponent comes at you, or the burst does not kill the enemy, which it's very likely to not kill the enemy, you're fucked very bad. So, F tier for the Famas. I don't think anybody's going to complain about this one, because nobody likes this gun. Now the Galil, on the other hand, oh my fucking god, I think this gun is actually ridiculous. This gun is 1,800 bucks, and it can almost perform like an M4A4. This has 5 more rounds than the M4A4 actually. The only issue is that it just has less accuracy, meaning at longer ranges your bullets might miss even if your crosshair is on point. And I think it has like a worse damage drop off and slightly worse damage against armor. So at slightly longer ranges it'll take like an extra shot, where the M4A4 would have taken 1 less shot. But still, performance wise, the recoil is actually pretty easy to control. You just pull down, pull left, pull right, pull left again, because it just jerks left and right over and over again once it hits the top. The fire rate is the same as the M4A4, and I think the movement speed is the exact same too. So these guns are basically almost identical. It's just slightly worse than the M4A4, but the difference is it costs like over $1,000 less than the M4A4, which is so crazy. The only reason this is not getting like top of A tier is because of the AK-47. Now, you're not going to like want to keep the Galil like every single round. I mean, if you win the round and you have the Galil left over, you can still keep it, it's fine. But the AK-47 is better than the Galil, of course, because it has to be. It's cost $900 more. Yeah, this gun is way too good for its cost. Even if you win a round and you guys need to full buy it, you can just keep the Galil and just buy your armor, buy your grenades and stuff, and you'll be fine. So yeah, the Galil gets an A tier for being ridiculously good for its price. It is not getting an S tier. Like, it's not exactly oppressive. The MP9 is the best SMG in the game, and it has this unique ability to run around. The Galil is not really unique to other guns in the game because it's kind of just a weaker M4. And you eventually have to buy the AK very soon, while the MP9, you can hold off on buying the M4 for a while, actually, if you wanted to, because this gun is just so broken. But Very, very good performance for the price. It gets an A tier. The Famas wishes it could be the Galil, man. It's like 300 bucks more than the Galil and can barely like hold its own against SMGs, which is ridiculous. It's not even close to the M4A4 in terms of performance, while the Galil is cheaper than it and is much closer to the M4A4 in terms of performance. That is stupid. The devs need to seriously buff the Famas. That's just really sad. And now for the beefy versions of these guns. The AUG and the SG-553. The AUG, aka the Cod Gun, is 200 more than the M4A4 and 400 more than the M4A1S. So fun fact about the AUG, if you didn't know, this gun can actually one-tap at very close range, but not any further. But it does have a one-tap kill potential, which is very interesting. Now, this rarely ever matters because most of the time you're going to be fighting from long range because it has a scope anyway. So you're basically paying 200 extra bucks for a one-tap kill potential at very, very close range. Extra accuracy with the scope. So this gun has more accuracy than the M4A4, meaning it has less spread. So you can aim further along than the M4A4 and get like hits because of it. So you can reliably hit targets on the head further away than with the M4. And its recoil is really easy to control. But again, if you know the recoil pattern of all the guns in the game and you practice with them, that matters a lot less. I actually don't recommend using either of the scope rifles with their scope most of the time, because unless you're holding an angle, you need to be really quick on the draw when somebody pops up. So if somebody pops up right away, do not pull up the scope and shoot them after. You have to just shoot them right away, because if you don't do that, they're going to kill you already. So really you have to be using the AUG in a very specific way for it to be useful. So it's not as because otherwise you're just going to have a worse M4 or a worse AK if it's the SMG. So I'm going to put the Cod Gun in C tier, top of C tier. And I think the up 5 can go at the bottom because it's kind of weak. I don't like slow shooting SMGs. But the AUG is going to get top of C tier. You're okay if you buy it, you just have to play very specifically. I think it's just better. You're just better off getting a regular M4 though, because 200 bucks less, you get a flash, and it has a faster fire rate, so more damage per second. You eventually just get used to not shooting with a scope, so might as well just get the M4A4. But if you decide to get an AUG, you're fine. You're not gonna like get fucked over like if you have a Famas or something. And for the AUG's counterpart, the AUG's rival, the SG-553, it's going to go in the exact same spot because it's like the AK-47, but you paid 300 bucks for the scope, and you give away like 50 RPM because this gun has a 550 RPM compared to like the AK's 600, which is a really noticeable difference, by the way. That's a really slow shooting gun. But it has the exact same properties of the AUG. You play with it kind of the same way, because if you don't play with it the same way, you just have a worse AK. And this gun one taps head all ranges, which is very funny to me because this has the exact same caliber as the M4 of the AUG, the Galil, not the Galil, but it still does like AK-47 level damage. And fun fact about this gun, it has 100% armor penetration, so the amount of damage it does against armor is the exact same as it does against non-armored opponents, which is very funny. Yeah, C tier, I wish it was a better gun. I love scope guns, but so the SG-553 is in C tier for the exact same reason the AUG's in C tier, and that's basically it. Now we're finally done with the assault rifle section, and we can move to the sniper rifles now. So we're starting off with the scouts, and for the scouts, I'll put it in low B tier because it's good for its job. It's like an op. If you don't have an op, you can snipe with it. We kind of use it like a rifle too and play very aggressive with it because it's very fast. If you hit somebody with it, you can just run back to cover if they didn't die from it. And if you hit them in the head, well, congratulations, they're dead. And this gun also is very good in anti-eco rounds because if they're not buying Kevlar armor, they're going to die in one hit to the body. For 1,700 bucks, it's pretty decent, although I still would rather get other stuff sometimes. But sometimes I like to use this too. It's good as a sniper, good as like a pseudo rifle. So yeah, B tier. And the op, its big brother, the one that costs like 3,000 more than its. is going to go to A tier. Now, where should I put it in A tier? I'll put it in here because I just love these two rifles too much. The op is there to hold angles, the op is there to be a sniper. And yes, if you're like crazy as hell, you can just get so many kills with this thing. There's so many ways you can play against an op. You can like throw smoke grenades at it, you can flashbang the opper. If the opper kills somebody, the other teammate can run out. If you miss your shot with the op, you're just dead. It's very risky because if you die with an op, your opponents are going to get it for free. And that's bad because an opponent with an op is very dangerous because ops are very oppressive in this game. Because they really just shut down entire areas because, again, if they peek the area, they're going to die. And they just give so much control over the map. But the thing is, not everybody should have an op because sometimes there might be people close up. Sometimes there might be more than one enemy and that's where you need the rifles for. So it's so good at what it does. It's the absolute best at what it does, but it does not need to be nerfed. It's not going in S tier because S tier implies it needs to be nerfed. As much as I hate playing against this gun, it's not going in S tier. And it's not as versatile as the AK or the M4, so it's going to go in the middle of A tier, but it's still very, very good. Now for the auto rifles, I don't know why people hate these guns so much. I mean, I get they're kind of annoying, but they're not that annoying. Like, the fact that it's $5,000 makes it like kind of hard to like justify using over the op when the op can just one tap the body. Because most situations you're not going to be too many people at one spot. Because the fact that they cannot one tap body can actually be like very bad for you because there is 250 milliseconds in between each shot. And that's enough for somebody to like, with an op, if you get peeked and they start shooting at you, and you hit their body, they're dead. That extra shot you need to place in can be kind of detrimental, but in certain situations, it's going to like clap hard. Like if you know they're going to rush a certain site, you can get this Scar 20 and you can just shred them all. If they're just running at you and they didn't know you were there firsthand. If they do know you were there, they might be playing smarter. It's more versatile than the op, but it just does not do the op's job as well as the op, and it costs more money. So I'm just gonna put this in like C tier, and the G3 goes into the D tier because it's the Scar 20 but worse. This gun does not, for some reason, stun people as hard as the G3, even though I'm pretty sure the G3 uses a bigger bullet. Isn't it like 7.92 by like something, and this is like 7.62? Even if they're like the same bullet, this gun should at least stun as much. But for some reason, this gun does not slow down the enemies as much as the Scar 20 does. And it takes a hell of a long time to reload, although that doesn't really matter as much because if you need to reload an auto sniper, then you need to delete Counter-Strike, bro. Like, you have 20 bullets in the mag, you only need 2 of them to kill somebody. There's no reason for you to have to reload this gun unless you're missing too many shots. So if the reload really bothers you that much, then you need to rethink your life choices because you should not have to reload with one of these. And that's it for the snipers. Finally, we're here at the most controversial section because the LMGs, people just love to shit on these. Like, they're troll weapons, they're whatever. But I have a very hot take about this particular one. So stay tuned. But for now, let's go for the Negev, and I'll put it top of D tier. Because it really only serves one purpose. It's to like shut down an entire spot by bullets instead of just being a sniper. They're going to hear it, and unlike the op, you don't have the sneaky factor. If you want to shut down the entire area, you can't just wait for them to come in and then shoot them because this gun has horrible first shot accuracy and horrible first 10 shots accuracy. Because you have to wait for it to become a laser because that's how the recoil pattern works. You shoot 10 times. It's a laser. It's also slow. It's cheap as hell for a light machine gun. I don't get it. Why is it 1700? But the roles it plays are still too niche. It's not too versatile enough. And it's very, very slow of a gun. So it's going in D tier. And now for the gun everybody is expected to go into the F tier. You're going to have to hear me out on this one. I don't think it's an F tier gun. I actually think it's a D tier gun. Here's why, okay? This gun actually has pretty good stats for like a gun in this game. It's horrendously costly, which is what holds it back. It's $5,200, which is so stupid. And the devs need to like drop it down to like 4,000 something. Like not 4,000, but like somewhere around that, because this gun is not meant to be valued at $200. But here's the thing. It outperforms in terms of raw stats. 750 RPM, that's very, very fast for like an automatic gun. That's like SMG level fire rates. It's much faster than the other rifles except the Famas burst mode, which sucks. And it has good damage. You can one tap to the head, good range. Its recoil pattern is atrocious, but if you ever figure out how to control it, then it's actually okay, because the accuracy on this gun is fine. The bullets don't have much spread, so they just go where they need to, as long as you can control a gun. At long range, of course, you have to burst with this, but it's a very, very versatile gun. It can, you can spam it through smokes. You can spam certain sites with it. You can spray the opponents like crazy if you see them all. If you decide to play long range for some reason like an idiot, you can still like burst some people, because if you know how to pull diagonally. And in terms of statistics, it's stronger than the M4A4 in terms of damage. It's stronger than like all the other assault rifles in terms of DPS. It's actually a stronger M4 if you think about it, because if you can control the recoil, it fires faster with the exact same performance. It's not stronger than the AK, I think, because the AK one taps all range. I think that's the difference between one tap head and not one tap head is huge. I'm saying all this about the stats of the M249. It has very statistically strong weapon, but it costs too much. But here's the thing. There are certain situations in which cost does not actually matter. Right before a round switch, or right before the game ends, you can just dump all your money into whatever you want, because you really need it to like just get the strongest last round possible. Every other round before that, you need to worry about cost, but at that point, right before the round switches, right before the game ends, you can dump as much money as you want into guns, and that's when I think the M249 can actually be usable, because it's statistically better than the other guns. Yes, again, the recoil pattern sucks, but if you practice with it enough, you can actually have a slightly better performing M4. Yes, it's much slower than the M4, but that can be fixed by getting into a nice position with a knife first, and then camping it a little bit. So when cost does not actually matter anymore, this gun can be used as like a slight buff to your like basic assault rifles, because it has a fat mag, fast fire rate, good damage. It's kind of like it's meant to be like a versatile gun that can be used like in any situation. It's just too expensive for any round earlier than that. So that's the only time the M249 can actually like be okay to be used. If you have enough money for the M249 at the last round, and enough money for utilities you need. Otherwise, it's terrible. You need the money for utilities, you need the money for other things, you need the money to be saved up, and if you die with it, well then, all your money went down the drain. But if it's the last round and you die with it, well then you die with it. The money's not going to be wasted. There's no waste potential. And that's why it's in D tier, because all these other guns are just not good. This gun is good for one thing, and that's finishing off a match if you have enough money for it. In my opinion. I know I'm going to get a flame for this, like, hey, it's too heavy. Hey, most of the time you're not going to have enough money for this kind of thing. I have a soft spot for LMGs. I just love using these belt-fed beasts in any other game. I'm just sad that CSGO does not treat them very well. Or CS2, whatever, but I just hate how this gun is just considered trash, and I just want to find a way where this gun cannot be considered like absolute utter garbage. Because like, yeah, it's too expensive. It needs to be buffed, but I just want to find a way. I just need to find a way to get the M249 out of F tier. And I might be crazy for this, but it's in D tier for me. It's a D tier gun for me. If the match is about to end, or we're about to switch, I will try to use this gun. And you can all flame me for this, but I will die. You can all flame me for this, but I will die on the hill that the M249 is not the worst gun in the game. I love LMGs. You are not going to take my beloved LMGs and put them in F tier, okay? And yeah, that's it for the tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed my rant on the M249 and other guns. And this is how it looks. Let me know what you would like to change in the comments. I'm not going to change it, but I would like to hear your opinions. So yeah, that's it. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. and I'll see you later.